I tell anybody to embrace your change because change is going to happen. Life is going to change without our permission. When it comes to legacy, that's basically how you build a legacy. It's through your experiences. It's going to guide and change you.
Hi, I'm Ines Barate. Welcome to Diverse SWE podcast. Today, I'm excited to speak with Dr. Ruth Jones. She has broken many barriers throughout her career. Dr. Jones is the second African-American woman to receive a Ph.D. in physics in the state of Alabama and the first woman to receive a Bachelor of Science degree in physics from the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. And she is one of the keynotes at our upcoming We25 conference in New Orleans. Looking forward to having Dr. Ruth be one of our keynote speakers for the conference. So welcome, Dr. Ruth, to SWE and the conference. And thank you for joining us, and welcome to Diverse.
Thank you for having me. I'm very elated to share my journey, and I hope it will encourage all the listeners to embrace your story as it too may help someone else.
To start, could you share how you first got interested in STEM and how that led to your career path in engineering and leadership?
Yes, of course. I've always had a passion for math and science. I can remember in high school, I wanted to make the highest score on the math test. So he would count off things if I left off a negative sign. And I was like, Mr. Simpson, you're taking off 10 points for a negative sign? He was like, well, that could have been the cause of the space shuttle blowing up. And me at that age, I was in the 9th grade. I was like, are you serious? But now looking back on it, working for NASA, that makes so much sense. But I can say that my STEM career actually started in college, and it all started with my college algebra professor, Dr. Mia, because initially I was an accounting major. And being an accounting major, the highest level of mathematics that I needed was college algebra. And so I had him, and he saw my mathematical skills, and he said that you should major in physics. And I was just like, physics versus accounting. At that time, I wanted to take the easy route. But once I took a lot of the accounting courses, to me, they weren't challenging enough. And that's when I decided to change my major to physics. So he was very instrumental in seeing my potential. And that's actually how my STEM career started. So once I changed my major to physics, that's when I started doing internships and co-ops with NASA, Los Alamos National Laboratory. It just took off to a great start. So I just soared in the STEM field. And as far as my educational journey, as you mentioned in the introduction, I went to the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff to pursue my bachelor's degree in physics. Well, I was the first woman to receive a bachelor's degree in physics. And from there, I went to Alabama A&M University to pursue my master's and Ph.D. in physics, where I was lauded as the second African-American female to get a Ph.D. in physics in the state of Alabama. And once I got my Ph.D. in physics, that's when NASA hired me on full time. And I've done various roles. I was an optical physicist, and I became a safety and mission assurance lead. I've been a supervisor in different roles as a branch chief, division chief, deputy division chief, and also an acting director. So my career has really soared in the STEM field, and I have enjoyed every moment of it.
Our theme for Week 25 is Embrace Your Story. Embrace Your Story is truly about you. It is about what makes you you, which not only includes your successes, but it also includes the things that have made you pivot. So think about where life has changed directions, whether it's personal or professional. It might, when one door closes, another door potentially has to be open. So it's embracing those pivots in your life and learning not only from your successes, but things that may not have gone as well as you wanted them to. So Embrace Your Story is truly about embracing who you are and life's changes. And I also understand that leaving a legacy is important to you. So when it comes to your specific story, I would love for you to share a little bit more about your keynote topic, which is legacy, letting experience guide and change you. Can you tell me more about why it's so important to you?
Of course. To me, a legacy is very important because it allows me to influence the next generation. And that's by passing down my values, my wisdom, and positive contributions. And I chose the acronym LEGACY, letting experience guide and change you, because everyone's experiences, whether it's positive or negative, it holds the potential for personal growth. So those life experiences going to build resilience, it's going to provide us wisdom, and it's also going to push you outside of your comfort zone. and to force you to adapt. And I can resonate with this so closely because I remember when I first started working for NASA, I was an optical physicist for 7 years. And then our organization went through an organizational change. And my supervisor, he placed me over into Safety and Mission Assurance Directorate. And I was very upset, very disappointed because I was getting outside of my comfort zone. I was so used to being into the lab, replicating large aperture optics. And now I'm in safety where I'm doing requirements. I'm developing requirements. I'm ensuring that the projects and programs are following the requirements. It was just totally outside of my comfort zone. And I can say for like the first 6 months, I hated that job because that is not something that I wanted to do. It was not in my plan or my journey for my career. But I can say that it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I say that because what I did was I turned my lemons into lemonade, basically. So I started looking at that change that my supervisor forced upon me. And I just looked at the positives of it. I was like, well, how can I make this work for me? And the blessing in that was I was the safety and mission assurance lead for the science projects. So since I had a science background, when I would go into meetings, I would also incorporate my science background to the project managers. They really enjoyed that. They thought that was a 2-for-1. For some reason, my supervisor didn't really, he didn't really like that. He wanted me to stick to just do the safety part. You're not there to do the science part, but it's just a natural thing for me to just incorporate my science background into those projects if I saw could save them money or if they were going in the wrong direction. So I tell anybody to embrace your change because change is going to happen. Life is going to change without our permission. When it comes to legacy, that's basically how you build a legacy. It's through your experiences. It's going to guide and change you. And I like Maya Angelou's quote. She says, if you're going to live, leave behind a legacy. Make an impact on the world that can never be erased. So your legacy is something that you're doing, not for yourself, but this is something that you're doing for other people and that you can change the world. They're looking at you and how you live your life and the changes that you made is going to impact it. So that's why I chose letting experience guide and change you, because experiences are going to happen. Life is going to happen. Changes are going to happen. So just try to make the best of those changes and leave your legacy behind. Because I look at legacy, it's also a compass where it's going to guide individuals' actions, have them to align their decisions with their core values. So I think legacy is very important and everybody can leave a legacy behind. Most people think that, leaving a legacy behind is money, but it's not about money. It's about experiences and helping someone else to get to where they need to be.
I really love the legacy and letting the experience guide and change you. It's very synonymous to the embrace your story. So I think we're on the same wavelength, Dr. Jones. It truly captures the theme for FY26 as well. And I love it. I'm going to add this to my way of describing. When I get asked how to describe the theme, I'm going to be like, Dr. Ruth Jones is going to be giving our keynote on one of the keynotes on legacy, letting experience guide and change you, and really captures the theme of this year as well. So on the note of your legacy, is there like an experience that you've had that you would like to share that really honed in where you came up with this letting experience guide and change you legacy? Like, did that come from like an experience, a formulation of experiences, or was it an aha moment one day?
Yeah, actually, it was just an aha moment. I was going to be a speaker for an event, and their theme was legacy. And I'm a big acronym buff. Of course, working for NASA, you always have all these acronyms. I was like, what can I use legacy for? And it just came on me. It just letting experience guide and change you. So it's just one of those aha moments. Nothing, in particular that led to it. I just had a speech to do and I just came up with it at that time. And it really resonated. Like I said, when we think about our life experiences, you're going to have changes. With those changes, that's how we develop. Most of the time we learn from our negative experiences and it allows us for personal growth. That's why I came up with it. And I really like it. And everyone else that I tell this acronym, the new legacy, what it means, everybody likes it. So letting experience guide and change you is awesome.
So on that note, do you have an example of an experience where you embraced the change or you did the pivot? I mean, I know you just described that, you had to change NASA from one position and another role, but do you have another experience where it may have been something where, you didn't think about it as being the greatest thing in the world, but it turned out to be one of the most positive experiences in your career later?
I guess just my own personal journey. Initially, when I was in high school, I didn't even have the intentions to go to college, believe it or not. My goals were to go to the military because my dad was in the Army and I just wanted to go to the military for several reasons. One was because my parents were taking care of two of my cousins. So I didn't really know what our financial needs were. We never suffered for anything, and I didn't think we were broke or anything. But it's like everyone in my neighborhood had to take out loans to go to school. And I didn't want that burden placed upon my parents. So that's why I chose to go to the military. I figured I can go to the military, get a free education, and travel the world for free. But, having a praying mother, being an only child, I could not go into the military because the night before I was going to do my physical exam, I had to be rushed into the hospital for emergency surgery. So it was just a divine intervention. So since I could not go into the military and with the limited opportunities in my hometown, West Helena, Arkansas, I knew then that I had to go to college because I had to better myself. And then that's when I chose to go to the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. So those are two drastic changes. It was a change that I had to pivot because I didn't take my ACT until the summer before I was actually going to college because in my mind, I wasn't going to college. So I didn't apply for any scholarships. I didn't take the ACT, any of that. But, God is good. I was able to go to the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff on an academic scholarship. And so I had everything paid for. I got other types of scholarships once I applied in that fall. So everything worked out and here I am today. So I think, change is good. Sometimes you have to embrace those changes because when you embrace those changes with a positive attitude, you have a better outcome. But when you resist change, that's when you kind of stuck. And I would just encourage anybody to embrace change because this is developing you for personal growth. And change is always good. It gets you out of your comfort zone. So sometimes we need to be shaken up a little bit. And when I was a supervisor, I used to tell all my employees, don't stay at this job forever. Change jobs at least every 3 to 5 years. Not employers, but just change jobs. Stay within a company if you can and just change your position. Because when you do things over and over repetitively, you're not being challenged. You're not using your brain as much because you're just doing it on autopilot. So it's best to change your positions so that you can grow. So I would like for everyone, just look at change as a positive thing that should occur in your life.
Yes, I agree. I appreciate you sharing the story you shared. Yes, you thought you were going one way and you pivoted. And in the end, yes, you might have decided to go to the military at the beginning, but now, you're doing stuff at NASA and you're doing amazing work. So thank you for sharing your story. One of the things is you have a commitment to give back, which seems deeply ingrained in your legacy. So, in your capacity when you're working, in addition to working with your staff, I understand that you also like to work with youth to make sure they also can succeed in life and have their own legacy. So can you tell us a little bit more about your commitment to giving back, not only for the next generation, but also understand that it's also back to your hometown?
I can do that. Basically, I think it all started in my home. I grew up in a nurturing and loving home where my parents were providers to many, like the community. Like I mentioned, my parents took care of some of my cousins. So they were basically like my sisters. So I learned firsthand on how to give back. Also, I grew up in the church. So my favorite Bible verse kind of ingrained this in me, and it's Luke 12:48. And it says, too much is given, much is required. And I just look at my life, how I've been blessed. And I just feel it's my obligation, it's my responsibility to give back to others by blessing them. So I've always wanted to give back to my community, give back to my mentees, give back to anybody that needs to be blessed. Most people look at giving back is about money, and it's more than just money. Because I tell everybody, if you give somebody $1,000 and 10 years later you say, well, what did you do with that $1,000? They won't remember because they will just go through it. But to me, giving back is more than money. It's about giving time. It's about being present. It's about giving advice, giving up your talents. sharing your knowledge that you have. That knowledge can be like knowledge that you actually learned in school, learned through podcasts, or it could be experiences that you've had that challenge you. So now that you've gone through those challenges, you can give advice to others behind you who may have those same challenges. Because I remember when I spoke in Dallas back in March, and I was telling the audience my journey. And after that talk, I had so many students to come up to me and it's like, oh my God, I'm going through the same thing. So you never know when you're giving back, when you're sharing your story, when you embrace your story, how it can help someone else. So that's why it's very important to me to give back. So I give back by volunteering. I give back by mentoring to anyone really, but I try to target women that are in STEM. I try to target minorities in the STEM field because these are my stories. And then I also try to target people who come from rural areas to let them know that, hey, where you come from is not going to determine your destiny. Most people get stuck into, well, I'm a minority. I come from a place that no one has ever heard of. I can't do these things. I try to tell them they can do all of these things because if I did it, they can do it as well. So I try to make sure that my story can inspire, it can elevate, it can motivate the next generation or even older generations. Yeah, I just want to motivate everybody to let them know that they can do anything that they want to do. So I also give back by scholarships at my home church. That it's a little bit about academics, but it's more so about your involvement in the church. Because I grew up in the church and my parents, every program I had to say a speech, I had to be the MC, I had to do some type of speaking role, which hey, it's paying off today, right? Because now I'm a motivational speaker. So you never know your experiences that you have when you're little. It's a growth that you're going through. And one day, you'll see that growth and you'll see why your parents made you do certain things. So with that scholarship, I have two. I have one in my name, which you have to have a 3.25 GPA. And you must also be involved in the church, at least for 2 years. So you can be on the usher board, singing in the choir, junior deacon, whatever the situation may be, Sunday school teacher, you have to be involved. And then I also have a second scholarship for one of my cousins who were killed, well, murdered actually. So I have one in her name. And she was like a B minus C plus plus student. So I have one that you have to have at least a 2.5 GPA or above. So I try to get everybody in the church. It's a smaller church. So it's an opportunity for them to get some funds to help them with their toiletries before they actually go to college. So it's just a way of me giving back. And then I also do a science day at my elementary schools, junior high, and high school, just to let them know that just because you grew up in West Helena doesn't mean you cannot leave West Helena. Like I grew up here, I went to the same schools that you went to, sat in some of the same seats, some of the same teachers are here. And if I can go to NASA, you can too. But if it's not NASA, you can go anywhere that you want to go. So I try to make sure that I give back by sharing my knowledge, sharing my experiences, sharing my story so that it can encourage others to let them know that they can do it as well. No matter your race, your color, your gender, religion, it doesn't matter where you grew up. You can do whatever you want to, but you have to put your mind to it. And also like this other quote that I have, it's about legacy, of course. And it says, the deeds you do for yourself are gone when you pass away. But the deeds you do for others remain as your legacy. And I want my legacy to be that I love to give back. I love to motivate. I love to elevate. And I love to inspire people. That's my legacy. So when I leave, I want people to know, like, hey, she really motivated me. I love her story. If it wasn't for her, I couldn't do what I'm doing today. She really motivated me to get outside my comfort zone. She motivated me to do whatever it is, but I want to motivate people. So that's why I like giving back. That's why I like just to share my story too. Like I said, it's going to inspire somebody. It's going to motivate them to do things that they never thought that they could do.
Thank you. And looking forward to you sharing your legacy with us at We25 to our audiences and our attendees with, have the inspiration to be elevated and motivated to go on to have whatever success is and how they define success for themselves in their careers and personally. So one of the things is, you really want to elevate and motivate and to be able to go with the change, right? Life isn't necessarily going the way you want it to. And so embrace, what are some key moments you can have, whether it's difficult times or you're in a rut in your career. And anyone who's really going through the motions at this moment, is there something else they can do so they can find those bright spots or they can find those items? and then figure out how they can also have their own legacy.
In order to find what your legacy is, you have to, find your passion. What do you love to do? What sparks you? What brings a smile to your face? What brightens your eyes? And for me, it's just people. I love to motivate people. So that's my thing, but something else maybe for someone else. So they have to really evaluate themselves. They have to figure out what is it that they would love to do, even if they weren't getting paid. That's how you find out what your passion is, what your purpose is. So I'll just tell everybody, just evaluate yourself. What do you love to do? If you can do this for the rest of your life, and if you wouldn't get paid for it, would you still do it? And I think that's how people can learn how to find out what their legacy is and find out what they really, really love to do as far as their passion.
I agree. So, we do a call for SWE leaders and do a call for volunteers. And someone asked me, where do you need volunteers? What's an idea you have? And I was like, well, my first question to you is, what's your passion? Don't think about the roles themselves. Don't think about what the descriptions are. What is it that you would find joy in? Yes. Once you determine what those items you can find joy in, then go look at a role, whether it's a volunteer role or a work role, is to go in and look at them from that perspective and go, is there a place in this role where I can live my passion, gets me excited about volunteering or work, or make me get up in the morning and want to go to work or do a couple of things. And so I love that. It's just it's finding your passion and figuring out what that is, and then potentially finding it in the role you're in, and then kind of building from there. I'm really excited about having Dr. Ruth Jones come join us at We25. Really excited about her giving the keynote about legacy. One last thing, Dr. Jones, before we go, can you share any more details that you would like to share with us on your keynote?
Oh, wow. Well, the keynote is going to be a presentation full of stories and lots of engagement. And I plan to share the importance of putting you first. I'm going to talk about tips on how to focus more on you. Sometimes we get so busy with lifing, that we forget to take care of ourselves. So I want to make sure that I tell the listeners to focus on themselves. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but I also want to challenge all the listeners to learn the lyrics to I'm Every Woman by Whitney Houston, because we're going to dive into that. So just be ready to be motivated, elevated, and inspired. And if you have not registered for the We25 conference, you need to do so now, because it is going to be exciting. It's going to be full of engagement, and it's going to be lots of fun. So you don't want to miss out. Make sure you register.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jones. Yes, hopefully for the listeners, look forward to seeing you at We25. Dr. Jones, look forward to seeing you. Truly going to be a keynote that goes with the theme, which is embrace your story, which the keyword there is your, so you. So really focus on you and finding something within the conference that will speak to you and about you and your life and your goals. So again, Dr. Jones, I want to thank you for sharing your insights to us, and looking forward to having you elevate, motivate our We25 attendees. And Dr. Jones, thank you again, once again.
Thank you. And I'm very excited. So you guys register for We25.
Thanks, Dr. Jones. So for our listeners, you can visit we25.swe.org. So WE, the numbers 25.swe.org to join us at We25, the world's largest conference for women and allies in engineering and technology. You'll be able to see Dr. Jones' keynote talk, interview with your next employer at our career fair, and sit in some of the most amazing panels and sessions. We're hoping to break last year's attendance record and celebrate this year's theme of Embrace Your Story. I hope to see you all October 23rd to 25th in New Orleans. Amina Darrat, your FY26 SWE president, and from all of us at SWE, thanks for listening.